that, you'll see that he's not real hard.
No, right.
So these are lobsters that have shedded.
Wow.
This is a 1.5 pound lobster. You can feel that they're relatively soft.
But this isn't like soft shell crab. You can eat the shells and everything.
No. It just so happens that this is a male with a larger, see the little fins right there?
Right.
Now on here, they're much smaller. See right there?
Yeah.
That's a female.
Okay. How many lobsters do you sell here at the fish market?
2,000-3,000 pounds a week. Right now the stocks are good and a lot of lobster to eat.
What I'm really pleased is that there's also a lot of opportunity to see oysters.
Yes.
This crazy assortment of oysters.
Yep.
15 different oysters here. And are these all from Maine?
Most of them.
Most everywhere I've gone in the world, if they have an oyster anywhere near it, I've tried it.
Yeah. This is from the Johns River section of the Damariscotta River.
The proof of the oyster is in the eating. Now, what I love most about oysters is that they taste like the sea.
It's invigorating.
I like it. It has that salty
Isn't
taste.
that great?
It's absolutely wonderful.
Great.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to
My pleasure.
taste oysters,
pleasure.
learn about lobsters, and come and visit this fabulous store here.
Thanks for coming to Maine.
Maine is synonymous with lobsters. Perhaps that's because they catch between 125 and 130 million pounds of lobster a year. And wherever you go, whatever town in Maine, especially the ones along the coast, you're going to have lobster for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm going to go to the source. I'm going lobstering with Herman Coombs and his family. Come on. So beautiful here.
It is.
Well, if you're going to be a lobster man, you got to look like a lobster man. You got to dress the part. That's at least a beginning. How long has this trap been down there now?
3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
Oh, you should have a lot of lobsters then. If I can get this one. Okay, so we have here a female.
Yeah.
Just need to measure her, and she's good to go. So we'll be eating tonight.
That's right.
But if you're trying to bend them like this so you can do like that.
Don't you ban them
Make sure the claws are kind of like cross or something.
like that. Or otherwise they'll get me.
Yes.
Goes like that, and then I just do like that. Good? Great teamwork here. Oh, look at this. This is a female with eggs.
Yes, it is.
Now this one doesn't have any kind of V on it. They have to be it. So for the next 3 years, this female is going to be producing eggs and restocking the lobster fishery. So we'll send her back to do her job. In Maine, a lot of the jobs, a lot of the occupations are generational. Here we have Herman, Riley, his daughter as well. So the tradition's going to continue to go. Now obviously, if someone who was in business doing this took as long as I took to doing this, they'd be out of business. But here's a family in operation here, and look how quickly they'll get these things out of here. Herman, how many of these could you do in a day?
We typically haul 400.
400 traps?
Yep.
And when do you start?
We meet at 5 o'clock at the wharf,
And you're done?
usually around 2:30.
So in about an 8-hour day, you're doing 400 traps.
Yep.
The traps are back at work again. Herman, Riley, Jocelyn, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me lobster with you. I hope I helped a little bit.
You did. Come on, kiddo.
Even for a lobster man, a stop at Erica's Seafood in Hartwell for a lobster roll is a must. How do you say bon appetit in Maine?
Dig in.
Dig in. Dig in it is. Dig in. Maine has 1.3 million people, and half of them live in Greater Portland. For centuries, Portland has been a point of entry for the world's goods and people, which has contributed to its ever-evolving population.
This is all the East End neighborhood, as well as Munjoy Hill over to our left.
During the early days of Portland, who lived here?
Primarily the poorer people of Portland, plus the Italian and
They
Irish.
had $1 million view.
They did have the view, but they also had the stench of the harbor that they had to deal with. Lately, this has become the real up-and-coming and trendy neighborhood. So we're now on the west end of Portland. We're riding along the Western Promenade, and the West End is considered one of the best preserved Victorian neighborhoods in the country.
Oh, look at that one.
Yeah, that's the largest single-family residence in Portland.
Where was Portland settled?
Right about 1632 by Europeans, primarily as a fishing village.
These guys weren't fishermen, though.
No, mostly businessmen, tradespeople, landowners, and merchant ship owners.
Wow.
Yeah, this is John Calvin Stevens' personal residence that he designed. He's one of the best no Maine architects, and this is actually shingle style.
So you have the cottage style architecture, you have the bricks, you have the Victorian, you have the clapboard. So Portland's very diverse architectural. How about people-wise?
We have a refugee resettlement program that's been in operation since 1975, so we've gotten a lot of people from all over the world.
I understand one of the neighborhoods that's happening, people coming in, is Bayside, and Bayside is noted for breweries as well. What do you have in here?
We have everything from light ales to dark ales. We do a lot of aging in these beer barrels, fusion of fruit flavor, so there's actual Maine-grown fruit in some of these barrels.
You're part of this craft beer microbrewery explosion here.
Yeah, so it kind of started in the late 80s, early 90s. We came along in 2010.
What is it about Bayside that made you want to come here?
We wanted to come and bring a nice neighborhood brewery so that, you know, the community can come and gather.
And the name rising tide lifts all boats. So you're here lifting the neighborhood too. How many breweries are there here in Portland?
There's around 30 in Portland.
Throughout Maine?
Over 120. Let's go have a beer. Cheers.
I like your beer. I like your hat too. Thanks for the tour.
Thank you.
Sure, guys.
Cheers again.
Congress Street is the main artery through Portland's downtown art district neighborhood. In the 1980s, a community of students, artists, and artisans sprung up in the area. The neighborhood, which is peppered with art galleries, museums, restaurants, and shops, still nurtures Portland's creative urges. The district is anchored by the Portland Museum of Art, Maine's oldest art establishment, and the Maine College of Art, housed in the 1904 Portis Building. At its heart, Congress Square is the epicenter of the First Friday Art Walk, where, come rain or shine, hundreds of local and visiting art, food, and music lovers take over the sidewalks between Congress and Monument Squares. This is a fabulous market, very close to the old port and right in the middle of the downtown art district. Wednesday mornings at Monument Square. Looks like Green Spark Farm is a lettuce farm. Yes?
All vegetables.
Beets and everything.
Yep, we have some fennel, bok choy, squash.
Jalapenos?
Yes, oh, and they're so hot. I normally can just eat a jalapeno, and now
Really?
like I tell people, like, I only can eat half of one in a dish, so I highly recommend just tasting before you just throw it all into something.
Is organic really big in Maine
It's
now?
huge. And I mean, that's where it started, you know? So now it's like kind of coming full circle. You know exactly what you're eating, what to put into it. I mean, you can see how beautiful everything is. Like,
They
you
are
put
beautiful.
in love and water and sun. You know, that's all it needs.
Taylor said these jalapenos were hot. She wasn't kidding. They are. And she also gave me the antidote. Hard to believe that you can calm down one pepper with another one, but let's see how it works. See, I'm very enthusiastically trying to calm this down. Oh yeah, it does work. Thank you, Taylor. Hello. So, tomatoes today, Stan, right?
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Look at these heirlooms. See
Yeah,
that?
these are pretty nice.
They probably taste like real tomatoes, unlike everything else you get from the store. Is this a family farm that's been passed on from generation to
Yeah,
generation?
exactly. My folks were potato farmers.
Okay.
And so my husband and I, and now our sons, are doing a diversified.
Good. It ain't just
organic
potatoes
crop.
anymore. Do you have chefs come and buy stuff from here at the market? Because you know
yes.
Portland has this crazy restaurant boom going on.
They come with their buckets and they fill up heirloom tomatoes, go back, make gazpacho.
But Dan, you've given me some great ideas and things I got to buy here at the market before I leave, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Oh, these really taste like the old-fashioned tomatoes. Remember those, the ones that really had a tomato taste? Fabulous. While it may be news to visitors, locals are well aware of Portland's foodie attraction. In 2018, it was crowned Bon Appetit's Restaurant City of the Year, and is said to have the highest number of eateries and bars per capita in the country. Mike, you know by now, many people, if not everyone, knows that Portland has become a real restaurant town. How did that happen?
There's incredible history of agriculture in the States and
Mhm.
really knowledgeable farmers. I mean, obviously we're right on the coast, and so we have just incredible fish. The products that are available to us here in Portland set up the perfect storm for a handful of really great restaurants to open, and Mainers are great. And are relatively open-minded when you put new things in front of them. We like to, particularly at Hugo's, offer you something that's sort of familiar, but also surprising. It's more fun to eat that way, and it's certainly more fun for us to cook that way.
Yeah, works of art are created by more than just paint and paper. You know, if you're coming to Maine, you're going to want to meet people from Maine, and here we have them. Anna and Zach. What makes Maine? It's a union.
It has dramatic seasons. There's just tons to do outdoors.
The very first time I came to Maine, I walked on the Appalachian Trail. That's part of Maine's identity in my mind, this wilderness of the North.
Now, when I think of Maine, stereotypically, I think of some, kind of crusty, gritty, rugged, salt of the earth. Now, is it becoming more yuppified?
The art scene is definitely a big piece of it that's changed. There's more programs that are drawing in young people.
A lot to do, a lot to see, and a lot to keep yourself busy, and a lot to enjoy. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
It's about a 2-hour drive from Portland city streets to the scenically rich peninsula, with its dense forests, meandering rivers, beautiful bays, and jagged coastlines. Taller than the Statue of Liberty, the Penobscot Narrows Bridge and Observatory is a gateway to the peninsula, and its handful of quaint towns and fishing villages, such as Blue Hill, Castine, Brooklyn, Deer Isle, and Stonington. Settled in the 17th century, the area prospered from ships and stones. Granite from the region was used in structures from the Brooklyn Bridge to the Washington Monument, and many a seagoing vessel was constructed here. Since 1980, the Wooden Boat School in Brooklyn has upheld Maine's 400-year-old heritage of quality ship and boat building.
31 years you've been here teaching?
Yes, well,
And working on boats?
Yes, indeed.
What kind of people do you get to come here to this classroom?
There are all kinds of people from all over the world, everything from nuclear scientists to sign painters to school teachers and everything else. I just had a student who is a physicist at the particle accelerator in CERN. You know, he wants to go be a boat builder, just for a change of pace.
You were telling me earlier that you actually drove a school bus.
Yes, there's nothing like driving the school bus to make you think about a career change. That's the way you do it in Maine. Is you do a lot of different careers, and it's the kind of place that encourages you to do stuff.
Fabulous.
It's land of opportunities.
I live in New Orleans, Louisiana.
What brought you here to the Wooden Boat Building School?
Well, this is, I think, the 7th class I've taken here. I'm a lawyer, and so it's always helpful for me to do something where I can see what I'm doing as opposed to something intangible like practicing law. There's something about Wooden Boat School that I have to admit is fairly magical. I want to be a boat builder.
You want to be a boat builder?
Yes.
What is it about boat building that attracts you the most?
The boats are actually beautiful structures. I love to look at them. They're just some of the most beautiful things on earth.
Your family, are they boat builders?
No, but one of my uncles is a master violin maker, and another one's a timber framer.
So there's beauty using wood, and here you are building boats.
Yep.
How old are you?
15.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's the middle of September, and it feels like summer.
Doesn't it feel great?
Down on the Blue Hill Peninsula, what is the boat building heritage here?
It goes back centuries. New England and Maine in particular furnished thousands of wooden boats for commerce to protect our coast for recreation, and that tradition continues to this day.
What I love about Maine, I'm getting to love about Maine, is that people do pass on their crafts and their talents, and tradition is very important here.
The satisfaction that we can gain out of making something with our own hands is unrivaled. These boats here on the water, they all have a heart and soul to them that was through the efforts of the instructors and the students that built it.
It's a special place, and thank you for sharing it with me.
You're very welcome.
The Blue Hill Peninsula has been a holiday destination hosting rusticators since the 19th century. And still today, traditional industries share the peninsula with cafes and shops catering to visitors, and galleries featuring the arts and crafts of resident artists. Nevertheless, fishing is still a main occupation, and bait to plate is the local call to action. And while lobster is the star of the show, my favorite mollusk is vying for second billing.
Oysters are grown in bags on the surface of the ocean. The oysters are just feeding on the plankton in the water. This is one of the reasons why it's one of the most sustainable fisheries in the world.
Okay, can I help you out here?
And then we're going to pull it on board.
That's like music to my ears. Did you hear all of those oysters in that bag?
So we decant it.
How many do we have here?
Probably around 200.
Yummy. That's just about enough for me. What are you gonna eat?
The next bag. Growing up in Stonington, I'd always been aware of how important the working waterfront is for our culture and our community here. So I saw a business like this as a model for sustainable fisheries for the future.
And things are going well, and oysters are growing in popularity. How many varieties of oysters do they have in Maine? I was at the Harbor Fish Market in Portland, and they had 16 on display.
It's all marketing. They're all the same species.
Right.
People just call them different things to differentiate themselves from other farms.
Basically the address.
Yes. Also, just like wine that has the terroir,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
Oysters have a terroir. So
Ooh.
each area is going to have a very different and distinct flavor, even though it's the same
A
species.
terroir.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So there's the cup, there's the lid, and then there's the hinge. I work the tip of the oyster knife into the hinge.
Yes.
So once you're in, you
Yes.
just are going to twist the knife
Uh-huh.
like you're opening
Yes.
a door handle.
Like that.
Get the knife in there, slide it back, sever that abductor muscle, pull the lid off.
Let's have a little bit left. Okay. A butter santé. The briny, the saltiness. I never thought of terroir, but when you open up an oyster and you taste it, it's giving you a little bit of the sea that it lived in.
Here's a little deer isle.
There are thousands of rivers, lakes, and ponds in Maine, but the granddaddy of all waters is the ocean that surrounds it. It's still the lifeblood of many Maine communities and Maine itself, supplying food, transportation, and recreation. One of the most popular ways to make use of Maine's easy ocean access is kayaking. How long are your normal day trips?
We usually get out for half day or so and get out to all the islands that are within a few miles of our launch.
So it's not too strenuous and people can get a glimpse of this beautiful coastline. It's a little bit foggy today, but that adds a kind of little mysticism to it. We have a huge island here. It came out of nowhere in this fog.
Yeah, everywhere you look, there's another island. And what we really have here in Stonington are great rocks. Granite sloping up to make those islands, and there's glacial erratics just sprinkled all over the shore. Straight ahead.
Woohoo!
So, this is Hell's Half Acre. Pull up a log.
Oh, thanks. How does kayaking here out of Stonington and the peninsula differ from other kayaking locations?
Right here, we look around and we see islands in every direction. There's 28 islands that are part of the Maine Island Trail, and 23 of those have campsites on them. And not only that, it's gorgeous.
So it sounds like if you want to have a nature experience in Maine, it isn't very difficult to find it.
It's all around us all the time.
Thank you for joining me on my Maine adventure. I've traveled to more than 90 countries, and wherever I go, the people I meet are the main attractions. I prize our common humanity, and I celebrate our cultural differences. But you don't have to go halfway around the world to have insightful encounters. Mainers I've met have lived up to their billing. Hardworking, straight-talking, resourceful, and creative folks, filled with the joy of life. I saw it in the students' passion for wooden boats, and in the multi-generational efforts of a fishing family. Mainers are like that, ardently striving for better while cherishing their customs and traditions, like honesty. In Maine, there are honest labors, honest weather, honest food, honest surroundings, honest tradespeople, artisans, and artists. Honest means sincere. Honest means real. Honest means true. And honest means natural. And at a time when genuine is often used to describe the disingenuous, honest has a refreshing and hopeful ring to it. So here's to all that's honest and roots us to the earth. And here's to Maine, where you can still find it. Until next time, this is Joseph Rosendo. reminding you of the words of Mark Twain. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. Happy travel.
Joseph Rosendo's Travel Scope is made possible by EVA Air. Flies to some of the world's most